Dude, you know.
Yeah, we can clip some of the tangents as like special, like, hey, do you want to see this special tangent? Subscribe to Clean Technica, $3 a month, whatever. the juicy details.
If
Tesla employees gone wild.
If you're one of the 5 people that love the rantings of a madman and want more,
it's just $3 a month
Yeah,
for the rest of your life. No exit clause.
Join our Patreon. Yeah, exactly. That's always the Patreon thing. Like, hey, do you want more stuff that's even more redundant? Join the Patreon. You see that with so many of these YouTubers and stuff.
We can leave some juicy bits for subscribers, and you get the really exclusive.
And that's all in good fun.
And stuff that nobody needs to know, but it's like this is the fun stuff.
Yeah, and that's one of the fascinating things, and the reason why I tell stories like that is because what makes the story so fascinating is how improbable the unfolding of all of this is and was. Mm-hmm. How incredibly improbable the outcome would be, and how improbable it has become. Because for any other company, I'm sure it'd be like, oh man, we have to build these. I didn't sign up to build a trailer. No, it's 5:00 and everyone go home. This is like, we're not building a trailer today. Where it's just like,
my blood sugar's low. I gotta eat something.
Oh yeah, like we did not eat. Like there was no eating. It was so funny. We had people making runs to like a Costco or something, and there was literally like these ration runs, and we literally have a wrench and we have like a protein bar, like like that was there was like and that was, but that was.
And so these cars, this was mid 2000. This was like the first.
This is at that point it'd be like September 2012.
September 2012. So
that's when the trailers were starting to use.
Just a few months after the Model S hit the market.
Yeah.
Like just really early Model S's, and they were all going. They were all initially going around California, I assume, right? It was.
Yeah, original team was around California, and we were. The thing was to deliver them on truck and trailers. The F-250 Super Duty with the Featherlight trailer. But before we got the Featherlights, we were using the U-Haul trailers, that like the auto loaders that we totally maxed out the spec for them, because the other model has like 4,900 pounds, and so that thing was done like when it was holding it, but it did okay. And those things are the limited speed for those, like 55 miles an hour on the highway. These U-Haul trailers, and that was what we were using in the interim. We were renting them, and so the California guys, particularly like Los Angeles and things, like they were delivering to like people that lived on like sides of mountains. And like it would be like 2-track paths, and then they'd have to back down unload the cars. And there's some crazy things. There's this one guy, his name's Brandon. Classic story. We were talking with Doreen, who was the head of North American sales at that time. She was kind of like heading out the team. She was like our daily contact, and and then Dan Migan was like our team lead. Dan's like Tesla legend. He's like such an amazing guy. He'd be an amazing interview, but.
I think people outside of Tesla, we don't know that many names from Tesla.
There are so many guys.
You mentioned a lot of people like last time. Every time we talk, like it's clear like to you this is like a really well known person in Tesla, and I'm like don't really know if I've ever heard that name before. It's like it's like
within circles, Yeah. It's
I mean,
Broadway,
the coverage is so much Elon. Maybe like JB, maybe back in the day George Blankenship, but it's like you don't really. There's almost never does do like names come out that are not like on the top tier of the executive team.
Yeah, and Elon's really good about that. Like he's really good about thanking the team when he does when he addresses at events and things like that, because it's true. I mean, he is. He's kind of the personification and the role model, because he is the ultimate role model when it comes to.
And it seems like he really takes that very seriously with trying to spread the love and whatnot.
Yeah, he wants to. You can tell he wants to be the example, the first one to show up, the last one to leave.
But this story,
and I think he can't not. I think that's just nature.
But the story with Brandon, what happened?
Yeah. So he was Doreen got off the phone and she was like, "Whoa. Well, okay, I guess everything will be fine." And we're like, what happened? He was in Miami. He was one of the first guys out in the field, and he was delivering Model S, and he was going off an exit, and he was slowing down, and a tire. It was like a cartoon. One of the tires from the trailer rolled past him. And he was like, so they pulled over, like a tire like flew off the trailer. And that happened all the time. The U-Haul trailers, we were blowing tires like left and right on those things.
Well, I was going to bring this up earlier and I forgot, because this is an interesting story I don't think I've ever written about. This summer I was talking to someone who's got a business for many years delivering vehicles. Largely, I think, used, but I think also new cars, basically, up and down the East Coast, sometimes further. So he knows the market really well. And he's not a Tesla guy. He knows, and we have a mutual friend who had a Tesla Model 3 last year, and he knew, he knows what I do. But we were talking just about this industry and the sales and the market, and he noted, just basically offhand, he was noting that I was asking about pricing and like different things about this business, and he noted that generally historically it was cheaper to ship a car from West Coast to East Coast. So shipping cars on trailers from West Coast to East Coast used to be cheaper than East to West. And because Tesla had so much shipping demand for the Model 3, like just ongoing, not just like at the burst, but like they bought up companies, they have just so much, they're shipping so many cars from California to the East Coast that it's flipped, and now it's more expensive to ship from the West Coast to the East Coast, because Tesla is so influential on the market that they've basically flipped the pricing of this, and just that much influence on such a big industry. And so you go from like, it's a perfect time to finally mention this, because you go from you building these trailers like with people who they're like, hey, do we have enough straps? And it's like, that's not safe, the tires rolling off, to like Tesla being such a huge market force in the vehicle shipping industry that you move the pricing of the
it's
country.
Affecting,
you affect the countrywide pricing. It's like that's a huge mind-blowing kind of 6 to 7 year story.
It was 7 years this month.
Yeah, 7 years this month. And this was, I talked to him a few months ago, and I don't know what his point of reference was, but I assume this started at the end of last year, because that's when you had the massive shipments. So, so basically within 6 to 7 years, you go from trying to figure out how to put a trailer together and to keep the wheels on it and strap the car on it correctly and get the insurance and for the truck, to moving markets.
Yeah, like we literally, and to build the things, it was like, okay, we need wrenches. Who has a wrench? And we're like I'm from New York. I'm from Chicago. I'm from Houston. And we're like, okay, let's go to Home Depot and buy some wrenches. Like it was literally like, and then,
is this a wrench?
Yeah, exactly. We're like, is this? And then we're like taking pictures. Like, hey, is this the one we need? Yeah, get that one. Okay. Yeah. And then, and that was, and then, and the buck stopped with us. And like how many other countless stories, because if we didn't do that, then the cars didn't get to Costa Mesa, and the cars didn't get delivered, and the service centers didn't get the trucks. And so there's like these how many moments in Tesla, how many countless moments in Tesla's history where there are a group of people, guys and gals, where the whole the buck stopped with them.
On the production line, on the delivery.
Yeah, and it was kind of like and you had to and you couldn't say like, oh, I don't have the things I need to do my job.
You had to find a solution.
Yeah. And
so this was September 2012, and then so how did your role then progress from then to like the end of 2012 or into 2013?
Yeah. So in the fall, so right after that, we went back to our team went to our individual markets that we came from. So there was like Chicago, Seattle, Houston.
Okay, so you were in California for how long?
A couple months.
A couple months.
Yeah, and then we went back to New York, and then we were operating out of the Queens Service Center, which I think now is a battery lab. It's in Long Island City, Queens. It was a humble location, and that was really great. It was there was was about 4 or 5 of us, and they brought in some guys from Chicago and some guys from Houston, or from Texas. They brought in Armin from Texas and Chris from Colorado, and there's Nathan, Aaron, Pierce, and myself. And then we were initially the quad state, so we were New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania, and then we got a Philly presence in Pennsylvania. But then we would just deliver cars, and it was really wild because in California they did a hypothetical. They timed out how long does it take to load a car, and how long does it take to print out the paperwork, how long does it take to go in transit to the average place, and then how long does it take for a person to sign their name and to go over the car and then drive back. I'm like, cool. So everyone should do at least 2 home deliveries a day. It's like, this is in fall of 2012. Okay. But in New York, it can take 2 hours to go 2 miles. It's crazy. And at first they wanted and I asked Dan in the beginning, I was like, hey, if it's in the city, if it's in Manhattan, can we just if we get the owner to sign off on it, can we just drive the car in there? He's like, absolutely, because it's crazy to deliver a car in the city, in the city of Manhattan, or in Manhattan Island, but for Long Island, upstate New York, and everything. But we had to kind of just adjust our timelines for traffic and blowing tires on the trailers that happened, and just all of these things. I think the most interesting, if you want to hear an anecdotal story, there's so many.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Everyone is raising their hands. Yes.
I want to talk about the Queens Service Center. That was interesting.
This looks like it's going somewhere naughty. He's like,
yeah. Well, it was in Long Island City, Queens, which is basically Long Island City used to be shipping, factories and warehouses for the shipping industry in the 80s. Okay. And then it became just kind of this barren post-apocalyptic urban wasteland, but cheap real estate. So Tesla, hey, we'll move in here. So, but it was on the same. The service center was on the same street as a penitentiary, and it was a lot of barbed wire involved in the area, and and I think there's 16 parking spots, and that's it. It was this little corner. It was this little. It looked like a little one of those mom and pop service stations with one garage, And then but these cars would come in we'd get 2 8-car carriers at a time. They're like, well, that's the parking lot. It's no other room. And so we're unloading on the shoulder of the off ramp of the 495, so it'd be snowing, loading a car under a trailer. There's buses and taxis and teens texting. You gotta like tuck in. You have to like wait for a car pass, and then you have to go and like shut the car down, and then go and wait for a car, like you know. And it was like we're lining cars up on the shoulder of the 495, and miraculously nothing. It's amazing. Nothing happened. Like it was Providence, and it'd be we were unloading cars just like on this. We deliver people in Hudson Valley. It'd be like they lived on the side of a cliff, and it'd be snowing, and it's like the ramps are like slippery. You know, you're trying to the little ramps from the trailer. You're trying to load the car off, and you can feel it like shimmying. You're like, please don't fall off the cliff. This would be really bad for PR. And it worked. When Hurricane Sandy hit, that was crazy.
Oh yeah. So
Hurricane Sandy hit that fall.
That fall of the first Model S?
Yeah.
Yeah?
So we were it became very obvious that we couldn't keep the cars at the Tesla service center in Queens because there wasn't enough room. They did this amazing job. I called it Tesla Tetris, where at the end of every day, the techs, and kudos to them, they stacked the cars. Every lift, there's like 3 lifts, and then a tire alignment rack lift. They would put the cars on the lifts, lift them up, then pull the other cars and tuck them in, and then tuck all the other cars, put a car in an alignment rack, and then tuck it in. And then at one point we had the prototype X, the one like from that you see in like every picture. One that it was a rolling chassis. That was like it was just like tucked in the corner like a naughty child for like months. Like it was just like a Model X. Like there was yeah, it was so funny. I think it was like I think it was in the Garden State or Paramus.
Did you bring this up with was your father-in-law who bought the X? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you bring this up with him that you had the prototype X who's staring at you from the corner like?
Well, back then, like no one knew what Model X was. It was kind of like the unveiling had happened, like early, like in 2010, I think, like that, something like that when they did the unveiling. But then this was the Alpha. It didn't have a powertrain in it. It was like the Alpha build. It had the front that looked like the old Model S, with the faux grill and everything. It was just so funny.
Which some media outlets still use.
Oh yeah, isn't that funny?
Some will still find that image and use it as an image of the Model X.
Yeah, it's so hilarious. And that color was awesome too. I like that kind of like. Cool.
Yeah, there's something wrong about this picture.
Yeah, isn't that funny? It's context, people. So, so we started using this place in Jersey. It was this like shipping area. And Sandy hit, and everything lost power. Nathan Checo, who's awesome, another Tesla legend. He's such an amazing guy. He was living with my wife and I in an extra bedroom in our place, just so he'd be closer to work and stuff, and commuting to work and stuff. When Sandy hit, like our house was unlivable. The trees fell in front of it, we lost power, so we had to find a different place to live. And then service center, we had to get electricity back. And so we actually took the printer. It's like this massive printer from the service center, because we had to print out delivery documents. Mm-hmm. And we put it, it's the first time I ever used Uber. Nathan's like, yeah, we'll use this. I was like, what is it, like a cab or like a Uber cab? He's like, no, a guy just like drives you around. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you do it. And he knows exactly where you are. And he comes right to you. And I was like, what? Like, you don't have to, because otherwise we'd be like standing in the corner like an idiot trying to wave down a cab. In another thing it was in Long Island City, which like no cabs go down there because no one in their right mind goes to Long Island City to hang out and use a ride, So so that was magical. That was the first time I experienced Uber. So we basically were working. It was like 5 guys with this industrial sized printer in the living room of my apartment.
So you put this printer in the Uber?
Yeah, we put it in the Uber. Yeah. We drove to our house. We put it in my living room, and we all had our laptops open, sitting on the floor of my living room, scheduling deliveries. We had like our little earpieces on. My wife would bring out like hummus and crackers, like, and it's like, hey sir, so you open on Wednesday? Cool. We're bringing it to your house. Are you gonna be your child? Okay. Good.
And would you like some hummus and crackers with that?
like mute the phone. Okay, we're back. So there's just a lot of.
Are you eating chips while talking to me about my Tesla? No, sir. No. We're very professional here.
But
very clean office.
We had to blend sustenance and work. Those blended in. The delivery stories are a whole other memoir. But I think the New Year's Eve 2012. I think that's a good one. If you care.
Yeah. Let me actually just. Oh, no, I've got you drinking. I'm really going to make David look funny. He's drinking in my
easy job.
No, I'm just kidding. No. So December 31st, this is the first New Year's Eve with the Model S on the market.
Correct. December 31st. This is December 2012. And
this is actually, so actually a little bit of context. This is this the point in time where there's a bit of chatter on a place like Seeking Alpha about Model S and vehicles not having issues and there was like this there was this period where it got like a lot of attention, maybe the New York Times covered it or something, and then There was like
there's that
Elon.
Times one, that whole fiasco where they're like driving,
Well, there's that, but there was just some buildup of like some small issues with and like customer dissatisfaction, and there was this kind of risky period of like consumer demand possibly getting like fatal because of this early chatter and not enough reviews and early feedback showing it how awesome the car was. So this is when there was the Broder test drive. Was it that time as well?
It would have been during that
so
time.
he had the test drive too, and he came out and like as we talked about, it seemed like he intentionally made the car run out of charge on a road trip Tesla came out with blog posts refuting, saying we looked at the black box, this doesn't really make sense. He circled the parking lot 9 times or something like that. And then Elon said, I think it was on the shareholder conference call or a different conference call, he was like saying that this was a massive hit to their order log, and that they like could have crushed the company with this kind of negative media attention, but they somehow people pulled together. Buyers ended up sticking with their reservations and ordering their cars. Then reviews started coming out, and they were like, "This car is freaking mind blowing." And then all of it went skyward. And then this was around the time that then he said, the tsunamis are going to have, or the shorts are going to have a tsunami coming for them in a few months or something, or something, and then that happened.
Yeah, definitely. That was definitely what we first started to see was, of course, because there's been FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. This manufactured,
a lot negative, of it manufactured.
Yeah, manufactured negative press. Of course, all through the Roadster days, and then of course with the Model S, it's vaporware, and okay, now it exists, but okay, let's see what we can find now. So there's all these kind of things in delivery, particularly at that time. And this goes a lot with Tesla, but we were so far in the weeds, like the outside world just kind of melted away.
Right.
We were completely oblivious. All we knew was the task at hand. We didn't know, we didn't care. The task at hand was, it's like, you deliver these effing cars no matter what. And that was it. And that must have been why, like, we keep the light. And we all knew, like, we had to keep the lights on, and there was this kind of effect of like, man,
But you're not in the room with Elon looking at the we need this many cars delivered at this time, or else we're totally.
We were abundantly clear. It was so, and that leads up to my New Year's story of how important every car was. It wasn't this thing like, it's just one car. Will it matter? Will it matter? Will this one car matter? Oh my God, everyone did. We had this customer that the signature cars being delayed, and a lot of our job, we'd build a big rapport with our customers. I've dear connections with customers to this day, because it was kind of like doing triage with them for months, where it's like, there's this delay at the factory. There's this one guy that was furious, and he had worked with a couple other Tesla employees and got furious with them. And so George Blankenship actually contacted me. He's like, David, I want you to take lead on this guy. You gotta kill him with kindness, man. You gotta give him the love. He's like, I want you calling him every single day. If there's no news, just tell him you love him and tell him we love him. And so I was having, back in the day, this is way easier to do. I was having colleagues in Fremont, actually taking pictures of his car, his VIN going down the assembly line. Here it is. It's gonna, and then it was like end of line. It needs some rectifications. We're making sure, and it's all about. It's not spinning it. It's putting it in perspective. It's we care and we want it to be as good as it can be, and we're figuring it out. So it's kind of giving him this love and then delivering it to him. But it was that customer retention, because we didn't want people to be like, well, forget this. I'm never getting my car. These people don't know what they're doing. We wanted it, and so that was kind of the cauldron where the customer experience element of it was. We had to show, because once they showed, and I tried to teach this to the Tesla employees that I'd help onboard. Most people in a customer experience situation, if they don't get what they want from the company, that the company that they're giving the money to, their assumption is, well, those people know what's going on, but they just don't care. Yeah. They don't care about me. Yeah. And with Tesla, and this sounds negative at first, but it's actually incredibly positive. With Tesla, it's the opposite. It's like, we don't know what's going on, but we care. It's like we don't know. We have to figure out what we're doing because no one's ever done it like this before. It's not because we're imbeciles. It's because no one's ever done it like this before. So it's not that we know and we don't care. It's that we don't know and we care. Mm-hmm. We really care. And when people find out that you truly care about them as a human being, they're like, okay. Because they know it's not you.
I think, especially with early buyers, I assume a lot of them, they were in there on the mission with you. There's like, they're on the buying end. Others just wanted the coolest car, and they have a lot of money, and they are used to like the best service, and they might have really need a kind of special treatment walkthrough. But it must have been a really a case by case balance of how you're dealing with one buyer after another to make.
It's like the movie Magnolia. How much are you willing to forgive? That saying that that John C. Reilly says. Yeah. So in the beginning, you had early adopter, and you had, man, I just got a McLaren, like that. Yeah. And then now, so there's like early adopter in that, and now it's become this, where with model, now it's like, hey Tesla, I realize you guys are only 10 years old, and boy, A for effort, you guys trying. And then you have these people are like, nah.
Yeah. And you also, you have, you obviously, there's no way in hell you're going to have a very personal delivery experience for people. You have so many people buying cars, getting cars every day, and so many, and obviously a limited number of people delivering and in touch, and then different people in touch, and so it creates quite a challenge. I was really, in my buying experience, something I was going to write about because I have an article open with a draft title, but the salesperson at the Sarasota store, one of them, he gave me an update every day after I ordered, like where it was, like, oh, it's in California, oh, it's coming off the production line, oh, it's leaving California, oh, it's going. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's a nice thing they do. That helps you really feel, of course you're excited and nervous at the same time after making the purchase. And each little notification like that is just like a nice, relaxing, like relief and cool, exciting update.
Correct.
It would be awesome if it was like really tracked with sensors or something, and you could like track your car like moving across the country. Like this should be the future. I'm definitely, we're gonna make the case this should be what Tesla does. We've already mentioned in one article. Joanna Kreider mentioned, but then I found out like, most people don't have this experience. Most people get no updates about where their car is and stuff.
Correct.
And I was like, oh my gosh, they should all do that. Because he obviously had a way of just checking. And he said he did this with, it sounds like he does this with all buyers. It wasn't special. And he just likes giving them updates.
Definitely a best practice. Yeah, and that leads him back to an old story. Of course, we can geopin the cars.
I could say that was Sean Ford. Sean's
awesome.
He's
shout
really
out
awesome.
to Sean. I love that dude. They're all great. Sean's one of the good ones. One of the great ones. Yeah. So, back in the day on that topic, this is kind of funny. There, obviously the cars have the hardware and we have the technology to geopin the cars, before they're delivered. We do that, before delivery because we don't want to be like, Orson Welles, like we don't tracking people once they get the cars. But for logistics purposes, it's a good thing that it gave capability. We didn't always realize that, and we were on a call with and there's this thing that I coined called the Tesla abyss. It's what happens the time between when you order the car and when you get the car.
Yeah.
And we're dealing with that with Model 3, which I can get to that in a second. Optimizing the Tesla abyss. I actually wrote an internal essay on that as well. Optimizing the Tesla abyss, shining a light in the Tesla abyss. It's an opportunity. See, just like the empty factory, this is not a problem. This is an opportunity.
In case you couldn't hear that really might not have been audible. I said, I also wrote an internal essay on that as well. I also wrote an internal essay on that as well.
Yeah, one of many addressing navigating the Tesla abyss. So, but the Model S Tesla abyss, the Model S abyss was way different than the Model 3 abyss. So Model S was we didn't know where the car was, so it would leave Fremont and it was like a void, and then people would be like, "Hey, just calling on the update in my car," and we're like, I left like 5 days ago, and we're kind of like in the East Coast, so maybe it's like 7 to 10 days. And then George Blankenship, Andrew Clark, he's a delivery guy in the Northeast, awesome guy. He works out of the Boston area. We're all on the call with George Blankenship, and back then it was literally like maybe 15 of us, maybe more, maybe a little more, and And George's like, what kind of roadblocks are you coming up against? And there were some doozies. And Andrew Clark goes, yeah, this guy updated for this. He asked for an update of his car, and I didn't have an answer for him. And the guy goes, "You telling me I could buy a $5 paperback book on Amazon and I can track it every minute?" It's like, but I could buy a $130,000 car and I don't know where it is for weeks. And George, I gotta paraphrase it, but George, there's like silence on the floor, and George's like, "Dear God, you're right." He's like, "We are going to look into that."
It's not 1990s, like.
Yeah, he's like, yeah. So Andrew, in the most diplomatic way possible, all those guys got along so well. He's like, "Can we like activate the GPS capability of the car so we could?" It'd be like so awesome if we like knew if it was in like Spokane or if it was in Jersey. Like that would be great. Yeah. You know, just like because we'd be like, yeah, it could be in. It could be in San Antonio. It could be in Dayton, Ohio. I don't know. You know, we don't know if the truck broke down in Tulsa or whatever. And then it was like Christmas morning. We'd be like, John Smith's car showed up. Yeah, with Johnny cars here. Load that thing up. Let's go. We were like washing it. You know, like the delivery guys back then. It was like paperwork, DMV, washing it, prepping it, pre-delivery check.
Toilet paper supplies.
Oh yeah, that's so funny. But so back to delivery. So the Tesla Abyss is like, okay, we need. It's super quick to order the car, and it's super quick to take delivery of the car, ideally. And then there's this like span of time where it's like, all right, I ordered. So it's like we have to fill that thing. Now with Model 3, like you suggested, out of necessity, out of logistical necessity. We need people to come in. There's two needs for this. There's the romantic need, amazing customer experience. 2, logistically, there's not enough time in the day to get the cars out. So we need the cars to move as quickly as possible. But from a customer standpoint, the perception is, we need the perception to be, and it is we value your time so much that we want you in the car and out and enjoying your life. You know, just like when you get a new iPhone or a new smartphone of any kind, you don't want to be there like, oh, you know, I have to keep doing it. It's like, no, you get it, you grab it. Look at this cool new thing I have. Hey, life goes on. You know, so that's the idea. But at the same time, you don't want the person to feel that you're trying to get them out as soon as possible.
You just drop the car on them and
correct. That they're getting in the way of you doing something else, because that's a terrible customer experience. Yeah. You want them to feel that we're respecting their time, not disrespecting their needs. Yeah. And that's the line that is danced. Now the ideal thing is the preparation. So of course they come up with the orientation videos. We really try to have people watch them, maybe they do, maybe they don't. And then the big thing at the delivery centers, and I will continue to advocate for this, is I've always thought delivery centers should be Tesla land. You know, like Epcot Center, but with Tesla. Yeah. Like it's like Elon land.
Totally.
Where you come in, and so if you have to wait, you're not waiting, you're experiencing. Yeah. You're experiencing a world. And I always use because sometimes your paperwork's wrong or the financing's wrong. Some people are there for like 3 hours. You know, it happens. But it's like, well, that's the time they should learn about the car. Yeah. You know, just like in like when you go to Universal Studios. Universal Studios does this incredibly. Yeah. You don't wait in line for a ride. Yeah. Like when you're in Hogwarts or whatever, you're like in Harry Potter world. You're like in that world. It's like it's amazing, you know, and you're like, this was cool. You don't even care that you waited a half hour, an hour, because you're like, you're immersed in this world. And I was like, there should be no waiting. There should only be experiencing. So I was a big advocate for, well, if you are like, let's make sure you are all set up, and this is going to be cool.
Did we do the New Year's Eve delivery or
nope.
Okay?
Meanwhile,
I told you my goal was so December 31st, 2016, and we'll wrap up. 2012.
We'll wrap up this one. That's so funny. Well, we basically made it from we did like 4 months. in like a long time.
We-
But
yeah,
like,
we covered a lot of time periods.
oh my god! Yeah.
no.
So yeah.
Okay. We can be more
process
disciplined going forward.
It's like Pulp Fiction. It's like jumping back in time. But yeah. So well, this goes back to the urgency that every car is important. Every car needed to be delivered. Every single car. So there was a car that was supposed to drop on. It was like a couple days before New Year's Eve on 2012, and so this guy's supposed to take delivery in New Jersey. Like a couple days before the new year, and the truck comes and the hydraulics on the truck that lower the car breaks, and it was getting so like when a car would come, we would drop it, prep it, and deliver it. It was like the turnaround was like boom, 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 like that, and so the hydraulics break. So we tell the guy, and the guy's so excited. We're like, hey, your car's dropping today, and so we call him like, it's not coming today. The hydraulic on the truck, this auto hauler that we use transport, it broke, and so the trucking company's like, all right, there's this place in New Jersey, we'll go across the river from New York to New Jersey, we'll fix it, probably have it done in 2 days, so we should make it New Year's Eve. The guy was really disappointed. We're like, hey, we're gonna take you to your house, and the guy's like, well, I'm having a New Year's party. We're like, sweet. How many people are gonna be there? Like 2,000 people. Like, you're gonna have a New Year's party, and a Tesla's gonna roll. You're gonna take delivery of your Tesla at your party in front of all your friends. Like, that'll be freaking great. He's like, you're right, that is gonna be great. So we're like, cool. So the truck comes back on New Year's Eve. He's like, great, you got fixed, the hydraulics. We're like, cool, lower it down. Tries to do it again. The hydraulic line blows again. His car's stuck. We're like,
Oh my god.
oh man, this guy's like having a party. He's telling everybody he's getting his Tesla. We can't be like, oh, the Tesla messed up again. And so this truck driver's like, I can fix it. I can fix the hydraulics. And he had like a screwdriver and like a pair of pliers. We're like, how are you going to do this? He's like, I can do it. And he's like out there, and it's really cold. It's like snow flurries. And so we're like, cool. And then it's like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. I was going to try to make it to my brother-in-law's to watch the ball drop, and that was obviously not going to happen. I told my wife, I was like, honey, not going to make it to New Year's.
Here's a kiss emoji.
And she's and she was a saint. She's such a saint. She was so cool. She continues to be so cool. But she was like, cool, honey. Like, she was like the best part. She realized how crazy it was, because it's basically like 100-hour weeks that first year. Yeah. And and we were in those late night deliveries. We were driving in tandem sometimes. Again, for buddy system, you don't want somebody to fall asleep at the wheel or something. So me and Armin, and Armin's like, dude, I'll totally understand if you want to go with your wife to New Year's. So I was like, no, man, let's do this. He's like, cool. So we call the guy. We're like, the trucker finally fixes it, and it was like really late at this point. We're like, hey, sorry for the delay. Another technical issue with the truck. And what people don't realize is like, these are not stories that people. The delivery team is not making this stuff up. Like, there are a lot of moving parts.
There are literally thousands of nightmares that happen that are not.
Yeah, a lot of things that we cannot account for that need to line up. We do our best, but we did our best, and so we arrived 20 minutes after the ball dropped. So we arrived at 12:20 a.m. Dropped off the car, did the paperwork, did the orientation. And back then, we scanned the paperwork and deposited with LTE iPads in the cabin of the truck before we even left. Like, they wanted it, like, boom, don't even wait till you get back. Like, scan it, deposit everything there, mobile deposit, everything. It's marked as, so it could be marked as delivery, because that's like a big thing, in the whole sales and delivery. Yeah. What was cool, and then it was 2:45 a.m. by the time the delivery was complete. But California time, 11:45 p.m. Marked as a 2012 delivery. Ayo! We got back. We got back at around 4. It was a little after 4 in the morning, and dropped the truck off. Got home at around 5, and woke up at 9. Did it again. But
next time you see Elon, you have to go like, hey, I get a high five for 11:45 delivery.
It was the last. It was what we can take credit for. That was the last East Coast delivery of 2012, because they were there till the midnight the midnight, last minute.
I'm seriously gonna look at the numbers for 2012 and be like, that was this number delivery.
Yeah, that was it.
That's East Coast. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so it wouldn't be the final. Yeah,
not the final, but but it did log as a 2012 delivery. So it's 2:45 our time, 11:45. But and then it's just countless stories like that. But that's kind of the quintessential of like, yeah, if you can do it, do it.
And so this is a wrap for episode 2. But we can you give us a preview of how your role changed? Just quick kind of like CV or LinkedIn kind of profile. So you were delivery specialist in 2012, and then how did that sort of and based in New York, right?
Correct.
And then how did that sort of quickly evolve to what's to come in our series?
Oh yeah, kind of a chronology. I'll make this as brevity's not one of my strengths. We all know that.
I mean, but just like
brevity's not one of my strengths. But I'll give you a quick
an outline.
Yeah. So it was called. We were called DES Delivery Specialists. Then I became, and we can talk about this way. I became asset light. Which is asset light. Like, who knows what that means?
That sounds like it came from Elon at 3 a.m.
Yeah, asset light is the I call it the Johnny Appleseed of Tesla. It's the precursor to a brick and mortar retail presence in a region. So I became asset light to develop retail presence in Florida. So basically, we had 2 locations in Florida at the time, both in Miami, sales locations, and then outside of that, it was me, an iPad, and a car. We can talk more about that. That was 2000, summer of 2013 is when I moved down here to become asset light. That was asset light. Then UTC opened in October 19th of 2014. Before that, I was in Hawthorne for all-wheel drive autopilot unveiling, which was at October 16th.
That was a fun event, yeah. So your asset light, that was the
asset
D.
light, yes. That
was D. What was it? That was the D is coming.
Yeah, the D. The D is coming. And there's a D unveiling. And oh my god! And then the entendres that would come from that in the years to come. There's internal emails about like ceasing them because it was so funny.
So asset light for a year, then for that big event, autopilot unveiling, and we have fun stuff to talk about that. And then you went back to Florida for UTC opening.
Yeah, open UTC. I was still in asset light internally, but again, no one knows what the heck that means. Right. So, and usually asset light, the move is to become a store manager or a regional manager or something like that. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be kind of tip of the spear out front. I didn't want to do back office. So I just kept selling cars and helping with onboarding. Then my daughter was born, and it was like, it was like 100-hour weeks, then 80-hour weeks, then 60-hour weeks. Then my daughter was born. I was kind of burning it from both ends. So then I became onboarding product specialist, things like that. And then delivery with Model 3 ramp, I went back to become part of the delivery team to help with Model 3 ramp.
And here we are now.
Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot. So we have a lot more fun. I can only imagine, like, the side stories are the series. I mean, this is what we were here for. So this is awesome. But I
hope you find it remotely.
But it's gonna be my challenge to like somehow create articles that tie things together in a kind of narrative. It's gonna be fun.
What a Herculean task.
Or I'll just make another writer do it. Be like, I interviewed him. Can you make the articles?
Anyone can make this even close to being coherent. Kudos to you.
Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.